So, I'm going to make a joint here. The easiest way to get started is to use this 12 mil right here. And we're going to make a 10 mil joint. And these are the tools you're going to want here. You're going to want some sort of masher or a paddle to put in with the L marver to get this three-sided box here. You're going to want a 10 mil graphite joint holder. And then this is the most important one of the whole thing, I think. This is a Griffin standard taper brass reamer. It's hard to see here, but I've marked it off right there where my thumb is. That's for a 19 mil joint. Then right here is for a 14 mil joint. And even harder to see is a 10 mil joint right here. Because all joints are basically standard taper. That's a 10 to 1 taper. And this is a 10 to 1 taper brass reamer. These are around 60 bucks from Mountain Glass, and it's a great investment. I highly recommend it. I don't do my joints the way most people do. I don't use a glass joint to make my joints, basically. So here, let's get started. So we're going to punny up here to this 12 mil. And I like a nice lip on my joint, so first step that I do is a Maria. So maybe like about a centimeter from the tip of there. I'm going to do a Maria. I basically use a soft heat to heat up a little 1/2 millimeter section. Once it's nice and molten, I pull it out of the flame and just slowly push it together as you're turning. Gotta always be turning. And the way this thing works, if you mess up this Maria, this is doesn't mean the end of your joint. You can still have a really nice looking joint even with the sloppy Maria right there. So now we're gonna rip off the top there and heat that. Boom. Get a lot of that out of there. So we're going to continue this process. Pull off as much glass as you can. And the more times you do it, this will eventually just break right open, leaving you a perfect hole. That's what she said. There we go, see? Popped open. Nice, perfect hole right in the middle of that Maria. Now we got that Maria with this hole. Now that there's a hole in it, the flame is going to shoot down it. So I'm going to take one of these earplugs and stick it in there. Now you're going to turn your flame size up a bit, but you still want a pretty cool, brushy flame, a soft flame here. So we're going to heat up a little bit of the tube on the other side, but then we're going to go to the Maria and make sure the Maria is slightly hotter than that tube is. Hold it at a downward angle here, and as you're turning it, you bring it down onto this Maria here. And you're going to have to do this in a couple steps here. So we're going to use a soft heat again. Don't get this very molten, just get it soft enough to move and stretch just a little bit. And again, you want the Maria part to be the hottest spot or it's going to buckle on you. So there we go, I'm basically right to my mark right here. And I usually go just slightly past the mark. And I get one more heat here. Slightly past my mark. Okay. So now that's basically the size of the joint. It will fit a 10 mil joint in there, but I want it to look really nice. So I'm going to heat up this Maria, mostly heating up the inner lip of it, not the outer edge. We're going to go into this 3-sided box. We're going to slowly kind of push in as you're spinning. You can see that kind of made that Maria a little bit thinner. Now it is closed up that inner hole, so you're going to go and ream that out right there. It's going to make the joint even nicer and tighter. I'm trying to see my mark, so I'm a little bit, I can go a little bit further. It's a little bit deep right now, which is not bad. It's better a little bit deep than a little bit shallow. So I'm going to press kind of down and into the paddle at the same time, which is going to square off that outer edge there. And all this you're doing with low heat. You're not trying to like make the glass soupy at all. The more soupy it is, the more uncontrollable it's going to be. So right there, that's basically it. That's got it all nice and situated here. So the next step is going to be get this a little bit hot just when it starts to glow. And I stick it in there, and if it's the right size, it'll hold in there really nicely. If it's not, it will pop off, and that means you really need to rework it, or maybe even start over if you want really nice crispy joints. So I'm going to tweeze off my excess. Here I like to use a blow hose because these things pop off all the time and they do it right when you're blowing it generally. So I hold something here to sort of stop it. Sometimes I use another, like a graphite paddle. If you make them nice and treat them right, they usually don't pop off too much, but I've had a lot of problem with that back in the day. Now I'm going to use this one like a banger hanger style, so I do a 90-degree hole in the side. This is a different brass reamer than before. Okay, so now I got that all done. Now when I'm doing clear, I'll just pop this off and let it bench cool. If it breaks, it means it was shitty to begin with, and you should make another one anyways. So I'm just going to let that bench cool. And this is nice and cool, and we'll test its size with this male joint here. We stick it in there. Look at that, it's great. Got a little bit of stick that pops right out. Cool. Nice. So the next step is I use a little bit of this graphite tape here. And here, I'll start even fresh. This stuff is like 20 bucks a roll. And here's a roll of it inside this dish here. I do that just to keep it nice. So this is like 20 bucks a roll, and I've only bought one roll. Been blowing glass 20 years. I still have a good bit of it left. So it's that's worth the investment. It's not like you go through it. You can reuse these like I was about to until I decided to show you this. So I wrap it around there till it's about the size, and then it just cuts real easy. So I just cut it with my finger right there. And now this is, we got this graphite tape on here, about the size you want it to be, wrapping around the whole thing. And then I'm going to take that and put it in there. And a lot of times once I get it in there, I actually push the graphite tape in there a little bit. That way I make sure it's on the whole male joint. So now when you're going to fuse it into your piece and you're sitting here working your flame around section here, you don't have to worry about fusing in the male piece in there, and that basically could wreck your piece. I mean, you'd have to retake the joint off, whatever, it can crack it. So it's going to save you a lot of heartache for 20 bucks. Got mine from Whale Apparatus. But so anyways, so now we got this stuck right here, and as you can see, the end is melted off. That's from the last time that I made a rig using this male joint. So we'll get the torch on here and take like a punny rod. You don't have to use one this long, but this is what I got right here. So I'm just going to fuse it to this nub here. Now you can fuse this onto your piece here, and you bend this bridge over to hold it, brace it while you get this joint all clean, and there you go. I hope that helps you guys out a bunch. Happy melting. Good luck. Dirty Beat out.